Hey everyone, today I'll be reviewing a book I just finished called The WAGER, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder by David Grann. It's a historical nonfiction book about a ship that was constructed in 1739 as a merchant vessel for the East India Company that was then transformed to be a warship befitted with cannons in 1741. Now, it was meant during a conflict with Spain to plunder a ship, basically be pirates, to the Spanish Armada, to take a ship loaded with silver treasure and use it for their own goods, doing what England does best, which is stealing. um, there is a conflict of colonial powers in South America, basically a war where colonial countries like Spain and England get to decide which indigenous people to subjugate and how much they deserve to subjugate these people, and they fight over whose resources they get to steal from. So that's basically the conflict with this war. It's a conflict fueled by greed, definitely. I mean, they're stealing a ship and taking all of its silver and getting incredibly wealthy from it. And the story follows a few key people who recorded the events. There's John. The ship had to make this treacherous voyage just south of South America, called the Drake Passage, between Argentina's southernmost tip and Antarctica's northernmost tip. And there's this particular part called Cape Horn that's around the southern U-shape of Argentina. And there's a big storm. Continuously, there's just a constant storm, huge waves that I can imagine nearly tip the ship over. And the ship's biggest mast actually snaps during one point, and the ship sort of loses control and starts to go closer to land. All the while, there's a lot of tensions arising among all the men on board. There's also scurvy, which people didn't know what caused it. There's typhus, people were just dying left and right. And with the scurvy, people's flesh were really decaying as they were alive. So pretty gruesome stuff. So as I mentioned before, the ship is sort of listing to one side and going towards land. And as they move northward, they sort of go towards Argentina until they hit an island in a bay. The island is now called WAGER Island. And the bay that they crashed into is called Cheap's Bay, named after the captain, David Cheap. So a settlement is erected on this place, and there's some sort of order being made, but people do continue to die and starve in the cold winter, and tensions tend to arise further. There's also a tribe of indigenous people that help them out. They really build these long boats and give it to them. They hunt all of these seals and give it to them. They really are ocean people, meaning they live off of the coasts and only are on land briefly to hunt. Mostly they fish though. But they end up, interestingly enough, leaving and abandoning the Englishmen because they noticed that there were some tensions arising, and it's good that they left for their own good, because some of the men were planning on taking advantage of those trying to help them and stealing more of their boats. So yeah, just really a big mess happening right over here. There's also a group that secedes from the captain eventually. The social dynamic tends to change. David Cheap, the captain, listens to no one, and he eventually believes that fleeing to Brazil, they would find help in their enemies, which is kind of naive. They think that they should go to the Spanish colony and go under their tutelage. I don't know what he was expecting. No one understood, really. The rest of the group, everyone else, thought we should go through the Strait of Magellan, which is sort of like a group of fjords that cuts through the southernmost tip of South America and exits in Argentina, and there they can go northward and go to a Portuguese settlement, so it's like a more neutral territory. So I found the book really captivating in the beginning, with the first sea voyage and some historical explanation about different cultures, sort of like the subculture that's set up around seamen. And I also learned that the British actually tried to kidnap returning uh, seamen coming in through London. They basically hired these like Goonies to come in and kidnap these guys and put them on the next ship, even though they just got back from a several months long trip and wanted to return to their family. So I learned about that. And so there's different stages of the novel. There's a few stages. There's one stage where learning about the historical context and the history of the ship, and then you learn about their passage to the Drake Passage, and then their time in the Drake Passage in Cape Horn, the time that they um, basically just crash into the island, and then going to Brazil, and then a court proceeding that happens back in England. So at first, for most of the book, I was pretty entertained, but by the time that the trials took place, I thought it was kind of tedious because the trial sort of went over what we sort of already knew, that we already read, so it just felt like sort of a summary. Um, so the book is pretty straightforward. It's a dramatic recounting of first-hand accounts from diaries and journals and logs of all the men that I listed before on the ship. John Bulkley, David Cheap, um, Campbell. They all ended up doing pretty remarkable things later on. And the book touches upon themes of colonialism and greed and social class and the grit that humans can possess when they want to survive, but I didn't think it had anything interesting or new to say about that. So the book overall works as an educational and entertaining thriller, true crime, history book. So I would give it 3 stars in total for being a very cohesive story that structures different narratives together that are often conflicting with each other, and for also being educational and entertaining, but not 4 or 5 stars because I did find it kind of tedious towards the end. I'm not sure if this is a fault of me or just me being maybe fickle. I am impressed with the author for taking all these disparate sections and connecting them together into one narrative in one chronological order. So that was much appreciated by me. Just wasn't exactly my cup of tea, which is fine. So yeah, those are my thoughts on The Wager. Pretty nice cover, by the way. Beautiful painting. And yeah, that's it. And I will see you guys soon. I'll be posting soon. And yeah, subscribe. Thank you.